everybody. Welcome back to Talk with TQ. Tonight, we're on a Zoom call, and it's great that we have the technology that we can do this because our guest tonight is Mr. TravisShortt. That's with 2 T's. And by the way, he's very tall, just for the record. Travis is the president and founder of Phoenix Publicity. Did I get that right, Travis? Yeah, the thing is people change the names of their company. You haven't done it as much as some others. But tell the audience, I want to talk to you about a few things, but tell the audience about what you do, because I know you as an extraordinary publicist, very easy to work with. You're always so pleasant. And I want the audience to know just what you do.
Well, I started out in media 30 years ago this September. So it started on broadcasting and then migrated to television. And then I got into advertising sales and then marketing, public relations through college. And I became the founder of an advertising agency in 1998, Adventure Media. Managed that for 5 years. We sold it. And then I dabbled in a few other fields. But in 2009, I started offering my services as a freelance publicist and branding consultant. And that's actually how you and I met.
Yes, it is.
And pulled up your old contract, as a matter of fact. August 24th, 2009, I think, is when you signed with, at that time, it was Black River Publicity. And then changed the name to Aspire. And then a couple of years ago, I changed the name again to Phoenix Publicity because it really, I think, embodied more of what I was doing at the time and what I'm continuing to do, which is actually take clients that are trying to reestablish themselves. Maybe they've made some mistakes. Maybe they've gotten into some legal problems and they're trying to reemerge and rise out of the fire. So Phoenix seemed like a good name. So I've worked with you. I've worked with probably about between 2009 and 2015 when I got back into broadcast management, managing broadcast properties. I probably worked with about 75 different clients in different fields over those 5 or 6 years. So it's been great. What I love is you and I, until this past April, first part of this month, had never met.
That's true. We never met in person. And when I met you, it was like, what?
13 years. I've known you 13 years. And to finally get to meet you at the Appalachian Arts and Entertainment Awards has been one of the highlights of 2022 for me.
Likewise.
We've had a lot of we've done a lot of things over the years, and getting you involved with this event was something I really wanted to make happen.
So tell the audience a little bit tell them as much as you want about the APPYs, the Appalachian Arts and Entertainment Awards. Because when you approached me with this, it was just meant to be. But at first I was like, Appalachia, are you kidding me? You know, people have like a certain image in their mind, and they have a certain impression of Appalachia in their mind. As a matter of fact, they say it wrong. It's not Appalachia, y'all. No. It's Appalachia. And if you don't say it right, I'll throw an Appalachia.
Exactly.
Okay?
I was hoping you were going to use that too.
Right.
Well, you're right. The Appalachian region, first of all, most people don't know that it spans from New York to Mississippi. So it's 13 states that make up the Appalachian region. And I'm from Virginia, and I'm from the part of Virginia that is Appalachia. It's the southwestern portion of the state. It's nestled in between West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina. We're right down there in the Appalachian Mountains, the very heart of the Bible Belt. Actually, probably the buckle of the Bible Belt, in all honesty. It's that part of the country. And when you look at the makeup of Appalachia, like I said, 13 states. So if you think about there being 50 states in the country, 26% of this country is by definition Appalachian. When you take those 13 states, 26%, which is a huge chunk of geography that is one specified region, but extremely diverse. So in 2019, I received a phone call from Joe Campbell, who's the executive director of the Mountain Arts Center. Joe and I had done a lot of work together at the radio station that I managed, and he was the assistant director at the time of the Mountain Arts Center. And he called me in late summer, early fall of 2019, and asked if I would help one of his associates there at the MAC with an idea. He said Jill Hamlin had come up with this project, and he wanted to know if I would be willing to help in any way that I could. So I told him that I would. And not long after that, Jill Hamlin reached out to me, and she and I started talking about this idea, which is the Appalachian Arts Entertainment Awards, or the APPYs. And I believed in what she was trying to do. She wanted to showcase all of the talent, not just music, but high school education, art, painting, poetry, spoken word, the different types of music, not just country and bluegrass, but blues and hip hop and R&B and rock and jazz. I mean, it's just this amazing assortment of everything that is Appalachia. And so we started talking about what she wanted to do, and she wanted to basically make this award ceremony the Emmys or the Grammys of the Appalachian region. So we started brainstorming, and she wanted help finding presenters, and she wanted help getting performers and things like that. So I'm nothing more than a volunteer with the APPY Awards, and it's something I'm very passionate about. It's something I believe in. I believe in the vision. I believe in the cause. As I said, growing up in Appalachia, it's one of those things. I'm painfully aware of the negative stereotype that we have. We're viewed as ignorant. We're viewed as inbred. We're viewed as drug abusers, alcoholics, poverty, all of those. And it's true, those things exist, but that's not the whole of the population. That's a segment of the population. So this award ceremony really tries to change the perception of Appalachia. It's interesting when you look at how many entertainers in different genres have come from the Appalachian region. George C. Scott, film, stage, television actor, born in Wise, Virginia, where I am right now, as a matter of fact. That was his home place. About 45 minutes east of me is the Barter Theater, which is the State Theater of Virginia. And you would be surprised at some of the actors who got their start there. Gregory Peck started out there, Ned Beatty, Hume Cronin, Jessica Tandy. These actors all got their start at this little Barter Theater, which got its name from the fact that during the Great Depression, the founder came down, started this theater, and he allowed people to see Broadway shows by bringing in fruit, vegetables, and supplies that he would then take back to the out-of-work actors in New York. And so they bartered for the show. They got exposed to Broadway-style plays with high-class actors, and all they had to bring was food and produce that could then go back and help feed the starving actors. One of the ones that surprised me is in looking for presenters and things and looking at each of the regions that are Appalachia, there's a segment of Ohio that's Appalachia. And it's there's a town there called Steubenville, Ohio. And Steubenville is where Dean Martin is from. That's where he was born and where he lived the first part of his life. So it's interesting that someone who is highly recognized as Italian American is actually Italian Appalachian. So when you really start looking at the types of personalities that come from the Appalachian region, you really get a huge, diverse chunk of what makes this country so great.
There's a spiritual component there about Appalachia, and there was a spiritual component that I felt as I was fortunate enough to be a participant in the award ceremony. And I found that the people there, they're all very, I want to use a good word because there's only good words to say. I don't know which one to use, but they're very warm, very welcoming, and they're very authentic to themselves. I didn't see anybody putting on any airs. And there were some celebrity people there. You didn't mention Loretta Lynn is from Appalachia.
That's true.
You know, it's not as shocking when you think of a country music singer, but her children were there, and they were like very modern. Her daughter, was it her granddaughter?
It's her granddaughter, yeah. Taylor Lynn and Trey Twitty. So Taylor is the granddaughter of Loretta Lynn, and Trey is the grandson of Conroy Twitty. And so they were our hosts for the evening, and I appreciate them so much taking time out of their tour schedule to come and host the APPYs and also perform. They did their version of their grandparents' big hit, Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man. And so it was interesting to watch that. And we had, we had Janelle Mosser from LA, has recorded with countless musicians, not just country. Buddy Cannon, who is a legend in the recording industry, as producer for Willie Nelson, he presented. Dr. Jacob Appel from New York who is a doctor. He's a bioethicist. He's a documentary filmmaker, an author. He presented Best Appalachian Author. He came down from New York. And there were lots of people that wanted to be involved this year, but scheduling conflicted. And this was the first time that we got to do it in person because of COVID. So, when Jill approached me in 2019, the plan was to see this come to fruition in 2020. That didn't happen. So we moved it to 2021. That still didn't happen, but we did do a virtual event, which actually was very successful. The 2021 virtual APPY Awards was amazing. We had Liberty DeVito and Richie Canada from Billy Joel's band, Tori DeVito, which is Liberty's daughter. She was on Chicago Med series. She presented. Emmy Award-winning producer Eddie Perez out of LA. He presented for us. And I mean, just this vast group. Governor Andy Beshear from the state of Kentucky, he presented. Congressman Hal Rogers from the state of Kentucky, he presented. So it was amazing to see all of these, again, diverse individuals come together and highlight the Appalachian region. So this year, we were able to do it in person. We hosted it at the Mountain Arts Center. And the APPYs, by the way, is actually, I was showing, before we went live, I was showing all the swag that I've got representing some of the sponsors. Of course, the Appalachian Arts and Entertainment logo behind me. On my wrist is a wristband for CMH23. They're the kind of the media production company that oversaw all of the sound, the lighting, the filming for televised coverage. And then, of course, my coffee cup, Big Sandy Community Technical College, which TQ, you got one as well. All the presenters.
I did.
In the,
it was a cool swag bag.
It was a very nice swag bag. And then, of course, the Mountain Arts Center, which I don't have anything with their logo on it, but that is where the event was hosted. Big Sandy Community and Technical College oversees the Mountain Arts Center. So Floyd County Tourism and Prestonsburg City Tourism, Mayor Les Stapleton, all these people really came together to make sure that this event came off. And it was something that the area had never seen. So it was a black tie event. And there's some images that I've sent James that he's going to be able to include a little bit later in this showing pictures of you presenting. I presented, Jill Hamlin, Joe Campbell, Buddy Cannon. There's several things that I sent that highlight. It was just a really, really nice event. We had a red carpet set up. All of the media was there. They interviewed the nominees, they interviewed presenters. The presenters got brought to the front of the Mountain Arts Center, black SUVs and sports cars and things like that. And
there were a lot of black SUVs.
A lot of black SUVs, yes.
Oh yeah.
And walked the red carpet. We had a bourbon distillery that was set up there for tastings. Yeah. A winery that was set up for tastings. We had an after party at Jenny Wiley Convention Center there at Jenny Wiley State Resort Park. So it was just this really, really amazing night. About 500, 600 people in attendance. That's about half the seating of the Mountain Arts Center. It's an 1,100 seat venue. So about 500 to 600 people in the audience, and then all of the production, all of the crew, all of the presenters, all of that. It made for a spectacular evening. It was probably one of the most fun things I've done in a very long time. Very stressful, but very fun.
You were working the whole time, Travis, and should try to chase after the people you were responsible for from out of town.
I know. Well, I lost you at one point, and I went.
You did. You found me in the Walmart, I think. Was that?
No, I lost you at the Max. I went to the.
Oh, that's true. And you sent the mayor looking for me.
So I popped my head in, and by the way, the hair and makeup. They were amazing individuals.
Oh yes, the hair and makeup.
Yeah, I know. Lakin and Shauna were taking care of you.
Oh, they were like a couple of magicians.
They did an amazing job. But I popped my head in, and they're like, "Can we help you?" And I'm like, "I lost a whole human being." I said, "But now, in my defense, she's a really small human being, so it's easy to misplace her." So, actually, you weren't really lost. I just couldn't find you. You were exactly where you needed to be. You were stage left. You were ready to make your.
And I'm hanging out with people. Everybody's just so casual and fun. I had such a good time, and I actually I'll say I had a better time than I thought I would. At first I said, let me put on a nice face. Let's not bring too much New York down there to them, But something, I was pleasantly surprised, and I really felt it was a divine intervention that I was there, because before you had asked me to do this, someone had taken me for a walk on the Appalachian Trail in New York. I remember saying to this particular person, when I realized I was in the middle of the woods and I'm looking around, it was so beautiful. I said, am I going to be on an episode of Dateline? is Lester Holt going to be visiting all my friends and family and asking them what happened? Because it's that deserted. But we in New York don't realize how close we are to Appalachia. Many of us don't even realize that we're in Appalachia. That's the thing that was really very fascinating to me. So tell me, you're actually the publicist for the APPYs, and you're actually preparing for next year's award ceremony as we speak.
We are. I'm not the official publicist. Like I said, I volunteer, so they utilize what talents I have. I guess is the best way to put it. So, what
to the max, I noticed.
What I do is help find presenters. 30 years in the media industry, and I've got a lot of contacts across the country in film and television and radio. We had people from the KVA, the Kentucky Broadcasters, last year. Chris Winkle, who's the president, he presented Best Radio and Best TV Personality this year. We had John Grayson from Kansas City, who's an on-air personality. He presented Best Radio, and then Roger Gribbons from the KVA presented Best TV Personality. So, finding all of these people and just making the connections. I'm a facilitator and a networker. That's pretty much what I do, and just try to help bring it together. The idea this year we had, in some form or fashion, 9 of the 13 states represented, either by presenters, nominees, performers, or winners. So the plan is to really ramp that up for 2023 and see all 13 states represented by nomination, so that we have at least one nominee in every category from one of the 13 states. So when individuals find out that the nomination process goes live and it's open public, all you have to do is go to the appyawards.com, and then you just start entering the people that you want to nominate. And just make sure that you include their full name, their phone number, their email address, and any social media platforms that they're on, because that's how we end up contacting those individuals when if they make it to the top 3 or top 5. This year, we had top 3 or 4 in most categories. The hope is that we'll have enough nominations next year to actually go back to having at least 5 finalists in each of those categories. So that's kind of what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to make it bigger. Once you do something like this, you can't plateau. You have to go big or go home. So it's going to have to be bigger. It's going to have to be better. It's going to have to be louder. It's going to have to be more black ties, more black SUVs, a bigger red carpet, more media, a bigger after party. All of that's going to have to start coming into place for 2023. And yes, Jill and I and some of the other individuals involved, we've already been talking about what we want to see. We've got putting a list together of who we want to try to get as hosts. We've got a list of people that we're hoping to bring back, hoping that you can come back and present for us again this year. Cyrus Webb, good friend and colleague of mine, was supposed to be able to be with us. He had a family emergency. He's already got it on his calendar for next year. By the way, it's not in April next year. It's going to be March 18th. That's going to be the official APPY weekend here on out, the 3rd weekend in March. So it's
March 18th, just
18th.
Before the dawn of spring.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and people say, well, the weather's unpredictable in March. Well, it sleeted, snowed, and rained all night. The night of the APPY. The temperature dropped overnight. We had sleet, rain, and snow on Saturday, and on Sunday it was a beautiful blue skies with sunshine and 70-degree weather. I mean, that's just the way things happen in the mountains.
It sounds like the Northeast, even though it's not the Northeast. Kentucky is Kentucky. It's the first time I had been there. I have to say I was very impressed at the fact that the people that were there, that were at the awards ceremony, and I don't know how representative is of Kentucky, but boy, they're so laid back, they're so casual, they're so relaxed. If you go there feeling like bashful, it's not going to last very long.
No, they are, like I said, there's a lot of negative stereotypes about the area. One of those is backwards and not kind to outsiders, racist, bigoted. I mean, all those words come up when you start talking about the Appalachian area and the South in general. And it's not true. Does it exist? Absolutely. Just like it exists in any part of the country. But when you come to, that's what I was telling you, when you come to Eastern Kentucky, when you come to Prestonsburg, where this event is held, you're not coming to necessarily Kentucky. You're coming to a small town. You're coming to a town that is wanting to embrace its diversity, wanting to embrace its art and its talent, and bring people from outside in. I mean, the reason that city tourism and county tourism are involved is because they want to bring people in. They want to bring outsiders. We want those people to come into Kentucky and have the experience that you had, that it's not the way we think about it. It's not what we've been taught to think. This is the reality of Appalachia, Kentucky. This is the reality of the Appalachian region. Up and down that mountain chain from New York to Mississippi, you're going to find open, warm, kind, intelligent, artistic, creative individuals.
And they seem to be very genuine from what I can see. I mean, I think that most of us have some level of intuition when you speak to someone. You know if they're, giving you like, playing a game.
Right.
But they're so genuine that it brings out that kind of thing in yourself. So what are the plans? Tell me more about next year. I'm getting excited about it because, I had such a good time. And when I finally got home, and I'll say honestly, for me, it was an exhausting trip, but that has to do with how soon you buy your plane ticket. I learned. I learned. And you were so gracious to drive 2 hours to pick me up in another state.
Yeah, I think I
Thank
slept
you.
2 hours between Thursday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot going on. The other thing we had, and I totally forgot to mention, was Duo Quintessence, the aerialist group that came in and performed, and they were amazing. And
Yes.
really hoping to get them back in some form, maybe not next year, but in future events. Really, the week after the Appies, everybody was dead, so we didn't really do anything that second week. We just now have started really putting our heads together. Like I said, we want it bigger, we want it better.
Yeah.
The big thing right now is that I'm working with Jill and everyone on that side of things is getting interviews and media exposure for the winners of this year's Appies and getting their names out there and getting them recognized. One of the complaints that we've heard from a lot of people, and it's one of the only complaints about the Appies, is that a lot of the times when they go for the voting, because you have the public nomination, so that means there's a couple of months where you can just nominate as many people as you want in as many of the categories as you want. And then there's a public voting process. And that starts in, I think, November, if I'm not mistaken. It ends midnight, December 31st, and then it shuts down. And then the top 3 to 5 are chosen. And then those individuals, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. All of the ones that have been judged, the ones that got the most votes, 3 to 5 in each category, they will then go to a panel of judges. This year we had 12 judges from all over the world, as a matter of fact, from California to South Africa. We had a judging panel that was made up of experts in various fields to judge each of these categories and choose the first place. Well, the biggest complaint that we have heard from people is that when they go to vote, they don't recognize the names of these people. There's a reason. That's what it's about. If you don't recognize the name, we're hoping to drive you to their website or to their social media so you can get exposed to them. The Appies are about spotlighting existing talent, obviously. But it's also about highlighting that next generation, those new up and comers, those individuals who haven't quite made a name for themselves, but absolutely are going to be able to with the push of this award ceremony behind it. So when you nominate, keep in mind, we do want established talent, but we also want people that are struggling to find that footing. They want that recognition. They want to be recognized in their field as the best. And that's what the Appies are about. So in saying that, there's a lot of stuff that we're still outlining. There were several categories that we dropped from last year that we're going to bring back. There were some categories this year that we're going to drop. So we're making some changes. We're combining some. For example, we had Best Blogger and Best Blogger as 2 separate Appy Awards. We're actually combining that into one category that's going to be Best Social Media Influencer. So it will encompass all social media. Blogging, we're keeping podcasting as a separate thing, but blogging, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of those will be encompassed in the Best Social Media Influencer category. So we're tweaking some of the categories. We're already reaching out to presenters. We're already reaching out to performers, and we're trying to get some people under contract right now because what we discovered, it's one of those things post-COVID. You never know if people are going to be really desperate to get a gig or if they've already booked themselves up. And what we discovered is they were already booked up. So we're trying right now to go ahead and get some NDAs and get some contracts out there for presenters and performers and hosts to take a look at.
Well, I'm really excited about it. About next year, I'm really impressed with the whole concept of this. And it sounds to me that for me, the way I look at it, as somebody that's involved, it seems even more significant than some of the big award ceremony, because there were some Grammy Award winners. The Grammys were shortly before this.
Yes.
And there were some Grammy Award winners that were at this particular event. And I think that because you're dealing with regular people, not everybody at the APPYs has a publicist or an agent or a manager, And I think that, and there is some controversy among some artists in my world about artists competing. But I know for my own self, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for the fact that I won a contest for a painting in 2004 or 5. And it just snowballed. And that was through Lucinda Clark is a publisher. I think it's a really beautiful thing that the APPYs position themselves to recognize the everyday artists in every category. And with that, I will say that you'll come back again because I'm anxious to interview some of the award winners of the APPYs. And I met them. I have to tell you, as an artist, it's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary feeling being in a room and in a big event with so much creativity around you. And Travis, I can't wait till the next time.
I'm looking forward to it as well. And you bring up something that real quickly, I know we're running out of time, but that is something about the APPYs is that it takes into account education. So we had best instructor in several categories. It takes in sculpting. It takes in artwork, album cover design,
filmmaking,
documentary filmmaking, original short stories, all of them. And then, of course, all the different musical categories. So it really is a really diverse representation of what the region offers. And I really encourage you, if you want more information, go to the appyawards.com or on Facebook at the APPY Awards. You can find them at facebook.com/the APPY Awards. And
how could someone be in touch with you?
They want to get in touch with me. You can find me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/rTravisShortt, 2 T's. You can also find me at TravisShortt.com, PhoenixPublicity.com. I'm on Instagram at Travis.Shortt, and I'm on Twitter at TravisShortt. And 2 T's all the time. Easiest way to get me is to email me. That's TravisShortt@gmail.com. TravisShortt@gmail.com.
2 T's, y'all. Don't forget. Okay.
Funny story, it was a typo on my dad's birth certificate. My grandfather had 1 T, my dad ended up with 2, so the legacy continues. By the way, the reason my collar is not playing right, I want people to be able to see the wonderful piece of jewelry that TQ gifted me with when I picked her up. Beautiful necklace. Thank you very much for it.
You're very welcome. It's very masculine, very manly. Yes, it's heavy, got some weight to it. Well, thanks, Travis. And I'll see you next time. We'll be talking.
Yes, we will.
Because we always talk. And I'll say goodnight to the audience. I'll say goodnight, audience. Thank you so much for visiting Talk with TQ. And as I always promise, I'll come back to you again with the most interesting guests, the most interesting interviews of people I can find on the planet. Bye-bye.